manipulate the information in various ways. Then after reasoning, the understanding. So from that understanding, so based on the manipulation information, the results of the information of the manipulation. So how it will going to consider the results. Then grasping truth is determining the validity of the manipulated informations, seeing relationship, divining how the validated data interact with other data, considering meaning, apply the truth to particular situation in a manner considered with their relationship, separating fact from belief, determining whether the data is adequately supported by provable source that can be demonstrated to be consequently valid. So these are the set of composed activities. So whenever you are going to design the AI should have the ability to learn. So based on the learning information, it's able to manipulate the information. Based on the manipulated informations is understanding how the results are there. The based on the results, how it will going to validate from the informations whether our results are good or not is based on the validation. Then after that, the validated data, how to interact with the other data. Example, we are going to do any training. So example, 100% of data you have. So we are going to provide the training only 70 or 60% data for the machine. The remaining data we have to use the testing and validation. So that's why how it will go into the validated data will interact with the other data. After that, applying the truth to particular situation in a manner, how it will react, how what is the relationship. So it will have finally very important one, whatever you are provide the data that is adequately supported by provable source. So we need to provide only good data. If you provide any bad data, your system will react only wrong answer. So this is the set of composed activities. Whenever you are going to design AI, you keep in your mind. Discovering 4 ways to define AI. The first one, acting humanly, thinking rationally, and acting rationally. This is the 4 ways we are going to define AI. So what is acting humanly? So the acting humanly is a very simple one. So whenever we are going to design any computer, so we are going to feed the program. So that program is is only used for the particular task. Okay, at the time the computer, why we are going to design the program? So compared to the human, the computer will work faster than the human. So that is the reason. That's why they said when a computer act as a human, it best reflect the tuning test, which is the computer succeed that when the differentiation between the computer and human is not possible. So from here, some examples I can say here. There's a Wright brothers. The Wright brothers did not succeed in creating the aeroplane by previously copy the flight of the bird. Rather than the bird provide the idea that lead the aerodynamics that eventually lead the human flight. So this is the goal for both bird and human to fly. Okay, that is a goal, and how they are going to achieve this goal is using the different approaches. So this is the acting humanly for your AI system. The next one, thinking humanly, how the computer think as a human. So when it will think as a human, so we need to provide enough number of intelligence, that is a required intelligence we need to provide the computer, then only the computer think as a human. So that is a way. So when we are going to determine the program, things like a human, you must have some method of determining how human thinks when the cognitive modeling approach is defined. So we have some human thinking humanly, some set of introduction, physiological testing, and brain imaging. So these are the things we are using, like thinking humanly for your AI system. Thinking rationally, so this is what, how the system, our machine or whatever it is, that system studying how the human think, how, what are the standards data they are using for thinking. So there is a guidelines. The example, in our guidelines for moral ethics, so we are using Mahabharata, Quran, and the Bible. So these are our guidelines. So how to run our life successfully. So this is the guideline for us. So like that, the systems, so going to study, that is the system means the machine or something is going to study how the human think using some standard enable the creation of guidelines that describe the typical human behaviors. So some of from here we are going to provide the recorded behaviors to create the guidelines to how they interact with the environment based on the data hand. So the goal of this approach is to solve the problem logically when is possible. The last one is acting rationally. So from here also the system will studying how the human act in a given situation under specific constraints. How, so from here, so based on the thinking, so based on the guideline, the human will act uh, and take the decision, best decision in particular situation. So how, because we know the ethics, so we already have some data, we are going to follow the moral ethics, we have to follow the law, then only we are going to take the decision for the particular situation. So like that the system will study how the human act in a given situation. Okay, at the same time how the both are efficient and effective. Okay, so the computer act rationally realize the recorded action. So we already feed the data as a recorded form to interact the environment based on the conditions, environmental factor and existing data. So these are the four ways we are going to define AI. Understanding the history of AI. So how it will develop. So for this, the personal computer is innovated at the time we are going to use machine language is not machine learning, is a machine language 0 and 1s. So we are going to provide whatever the data to the computer, it will convert into 0 and 1s. We know there's a logics. Then this is the initial stage. After that is there is a yearly algorithm. Then expert system. So expert system is, we can say, is a fuzzy logic controller, is one of the best expert system. Neural networks, machine learning, deep learning. So this is the history. So in the early algorithms is in winter late 1960s and 1970s, we are using expert system and early algorithms. Then after that, so later 1980s and 1980, the expert system is very popular in Korean and Japanese. They are implemented in many home appliances. Actually now also we are using some home appliances expert systems, so like washing machines and air conditioners. We know the inverter AC. So the inverter AC is automatically it will change the capacity of the air conditioners. So full and full of the expert system they are using. Neural networks and machine learning. So 2012 is a machine learning. It's a presently we are using 22 all to present we are concentrating now the deep learning algorithms. So these are the history of AI. So how we are going to classify the artificial intelligence? So weak methods in AI, artificial narrow intelligence is both are same. The strong method in AI, artificial intelligence, AGI, that is artificial general intelligence, and finally artificial super intelligence. So what is weak method? So from here, the weak method is nothing but, so we are going to provide some particular narrow task to the AI. Weak method means is the performance is not a weak. So we can say the weak method is nothing but that AI only we can use some particular narrow applications. So that is the reason it's called weak method, otherwise narrow AGI. So narrow intelligence controller. So from here, we are going to provide some data. So a computer actually intelligence in the way of that human is. So we are going to provide some informations. The intelligence behavior is merely modeled by human and used by computer to solve complex problem. So we are going to use some particular task. From here, we didn't provide any real-time data and emotional conscience are not reachable to the system. So example from here, some virtual personal assistants such as in Apple phone is iPhone, there we are using Siri and Amazon Alexa. So these are the personal assistant app. This is developed by the narrow intelligence or weak intelligence of AI. The strong method in AI. From here, we are going to provide enough number of information to the computer so the computer can literally think and can be conscious to the same way how the human is conscious. So from here, we are going to provide a given computer programming sufficient processing power. So presently we are using GPU. So normally the CPU is not possible for deep learning applications. That is the reason now Intel and Nvidia they are going to introduce the GPU technologies and providing with enough intelligence. That is a very important one for the strong method in AI. So from here we are going to provide the great deal of the knowledge and the problem. So knowledge about the problem and the real world informations we are going to feed the strong AI. From here the use of the weak method to deal with the only knowledge. So what is the narrow intelligence? So the narrow intelligence already we have discussed the missing intelligence that equal or exceed the human intelligence or efficiency at a specific task. So only for the specific task. So whenever there is some example autonomous vehicle and translate and chess playing the games and digital smartphone assistants, self-driving cars. So these are the some of the applications we are using in narrow intelligence. The next one is the important one is artificial general intelligence is a AGI. The mission with the ability to apply the intelligence to any problem. That is a very important one. That intelligence that missing with the ability to apply the intelligence to any problem rather than just one specific problem. So this type of intelligence we can say human level intelligence. So we have I think some examples are there. Some films we are no, the Hollywood film, the Terminators. So the Terminators are the human level intelligence. So these are the humanoid robotics. They are now under research only. The next one, very strong super intelligence. So why is called super intelligence? The super intelligence is much smarter than the best human brain. That is a very important one. It's not a just human brain. It's the best human brain. Okay, in a particular in every field, including scientific creativity, general wisdoms, and social skills. So this is the super intelligence. The super intelligence also under research now. So this is the some of the everyone know about this type of AI. So the AI from the machine learning, we have the deep learning and the predictive analysis, natural language processing. From here, the translation, classification and clustering, information extractions, and speech to text and text to speech, expert system, fuzzy logic controller. Sometimes we are using the spam intelligence and planning, scheduling, optimizations. So this is actually we are using these ones, the planning, scheduling, and optimization techniques in our Google calendars and MS Team calendars, and robotics vision from their image recognition and mission vision. So these are some of the various types of AI. So yearly algorithms. So the yearly algorithms. So what is the yearly algorithm? So from the yearly algorithms, the computing devices they mimic like a human ability to manipulate the symbol in order to perform the basic math task. So that is why the logical reasoning. So whenever the initial conditions, so this is only used for the mathematical operations. So now after that, we are come to the expert systems in 1970s and again 1980s very popular. This is the true successfully implemented AI in a real-time applications in 1970s and 1980s in many home appliance and some other industries. They are applied in AI through the expert systems. So what is the expert system? So that is a very important one. So the expert system, the representation appeared including the rules based. So we know the expert system if then rules. So based on the forming the if then rules, we are going to create the controller. So why is called expert systems? There is another important question. Why is called expert? So the expert, the meaning of the word, the who is the what I said. So if you are going to design any controller, otherwise example you are going to design the speed control of motor. So he know about A to Z of the motor, how to control the speed. Then only he can only able to design the controller. That is called the expert. So the expert only can design the controller. That is called expert systems. But may not be the user, be an expert. So that is the thing. So that's why they said the user may not be an expert, but the design of the controller and knowledge engineers so get together and design the intelligence. There's the expert systems. Some of the examples I will give you for the rules based systems. So rules as a knowledge representation, the technique. So we can represent the some different type of rules based systems. That's the relations, recommendations, directive, strategies and histories. This is the rules as a knowledge representation technique. So I'll first one is a relation. So very simple example. If the fuel tank is empty, then the car is dead. That's all. It's only for this type of rules. So only give the relation. So if the fuel tank is empty, then the car is dead. That's all. So what is the recommendation based rules? If the session is autumn and the sky is cloudy and the forecast is drizzle, then advice is take a umbrella. So from here it will go into recommendation. It will provide a recommendation to the user, otherwise the controller. So example of the same thing, the directive from here, if the car is dead and the fuel tank is empty, then the action is refill the car. So this is the directive and the strategies from here are the same. It will come if the car is dead, then the action is check the fuel tank. The step 1 is complete. If the step 1 is complete and the fuel tank is full, then the action is check the battery. Step 2 is complete. So this is the strategy is will follow the one by one. This is the most of the places we are using this kind of rules based systems. Then history is from here. This is based on the values. So if the spill is liquid and the spill pH level is less than 6 and the spill smell in igna, then the spill material is a acetic acid. So these are the some of the examples. So we are using for rules based system in expert systems. Then next is one is artificial neural network. So artificial neural network is one of the milestone of the AI. So from here we have the different type of artificial neural networks and different structures are available nowadays. The simple neural network, it has only one input, that is a input layer and very minimal hidden layers, 1 or 2 hidden layers and output layers are there. But deep learning, so we have n number of hidden layers in terms of tens to hundreds hidden layers we are going to use to improve the performance of the systems. That's why the deep learning is a very popular compared to the simple neural networks. So from the deep learning neural network also we have the different type of networks are there, CNN, RNN, deep neural network designs and SVM. So there are plenty of designs are available in deep learning neural network for different type of applications, whether in medical field, engineering field, even the finance markets. That's a we are using the deep learning algorithms very what I said, there's a emerging area presently. So I give some example for the machine learning. So the machine learning, the AI currently the new hype they face because of machine learning. The technology help the computer learn from the data. So example from here, the machine learning, this is the network. From here we are going to provide the some information, like example we are going to provide the training for the network. So from this training, whether we are going to find out this a given image or given visual is a car or not a car. So for that we are going to provide the information, the feature extraction of the engineers. From there we are going to feed all the type of the features of the car. Then the data goes to the neural network. From the classification network, From the classification network, it will identify whether it is a input data is a car. Otherwise, if you show some other object, it will say is a not a car. So this is the thing. So what they said, having a computer learn from the data means is not depending on the human programmer to set up operation task, but rather retrieving them directly from the example that show how the computer should be behave. This is a machine learning. Then after that is a deep learning algorithm. Deep learning algorithm is the feature extraction plus classification is a get together. So from here is a very important one is the data usage. So the data usage is one of the amount of the data usage for the training purpose is one of the important role. So whenever you are using the old learning algorithm, whenever you are going to reach some certain amount of the data usage, it will going to settle down the performance. But deep learning is directly proportional to number of performance, directly proportional to number of used amount of data. So if you increase the amount of data for the training, deep learning performance will be increased. That is the reason we are going for deep learning algorithm. But deep learning algorithms purely deals with the big data analysis. So this is the artificial intelligence. We know many of them know about this diagram. Some of the application area of artificial intelligence, the technologies we are using machine learning and deep learning for natural language based scenario method, voice recognition, image text picture recognitions, and business sectors, internet service, PC, mobile device, home appliance, semiconductor and software applications. Latency is a cloud AI, cloud IoT plus AI and AI plus edge. The AI level from narrow intelligence to general intelligence, and service area. So data analysis, voice recognition service, medical diagnosis systems, search for judicial precedent, marketing, etc. Presently, we are going to use the education, public service, etc. So these are the some of the applications. So AI deploy in Google products. So various Google products already is deployed in AI. Okay, now I'll come to smart grid. So okay, I give the overview of artificial intelligence. So hope you people are going to learn in depth in the STTV in artificial intelligence in various application of electrical engineering. Now I'll focus on smart grids. So what is smart grid? So what is the relationship between AI and smart grid? Then what are the challenges? Then what are the so smart grid means definitely the major role is our distributed generation sources. Is the PV, wind, and fuel cells and battery storage. These are some of the essential part of the smart grid. So what is the smart grid? First of all, we should know what is smart grid. The smart grid is a two-way communication in between utility and its customers. That is a very important one. The smart grid. It's a conventional grid. This is not possible. That is a one-way communication. But smart grid is a two-way communications. So how the smart grids are designed? So like the internet is IoT is one of the backbone of the smart grid. The smart grid will consist of the control, computers, automation, and new technologies and equipped working together. Okay, why we need to working together? If you have any disturbance, if you have any demand changes, this system will respond digitally to quick changing electrical demand. So this is the thing. The smart grid is very popular nowadays. In future, we have to expert in 2030 or 2040. uh, we are looking for the smart grid in real-time applications, but we have some pipeline projects are there. I will let you know some few pipeline projects available in India. So what is the benefits? So when you are going move to the smart grid from the conventional grid to smart grid, what are the benefits we have? So the more efficient transmission of the electricity. So we have to improve the efficiency of the transmission from power from one place to another place. Quicker restoration of electricity after power disturbance, reduced operation and management cost for utilities, and ultimately the power, that is a low power cost to our consumers. Reduced peak demand, which will help lower electricity rate, increased integration of large scale renewable energy systems, Another one is the better integration of customer owner power generation systems, including renewable energy systems. So we have to integrate whatever you have in your rooftop, the solar or wind. So the excess power we have to connect to the grid. We have to sell the power. Is possible in smart grid. And finally, the improved security. The security is one of the important point for the smart grid. So what are the characteristics of the smart grid? So first one is optimize. So what it will optimize? The asset utilization and operating efficiency. So we have to optimize the asset utilization. So based on the requirement, we have to use our power generation sources and transmission sources, and we have to increase the efficiency, accommodate all generation and storage options is there in present conventional power grid is not possible from to accommodate all the power generations and storage options, because we need to get the permission from the electricity board. So whenever you are going to integrate the renewable energy to the power grid, so it's not possible to all the points. They will give you some particular area, then only we have to integrate the renewable energy systems. The provide the power quality for the range of need is a digital economy. So we need to provide the good number of, that is a good power quality of the power to the consumers. Then only we have to increase the lifetime of our equipments, anticipate and respond to the system disturbance in self-healing manner. So this is the very important name. It's a self-healing manner. Is a purely is a depending on technologies. I will let you know what is a self-healing manner in the next slide. Operate resiliently against the physical and cyber attacks and natural disorders. Enable active participation by the consumers. Enable new products, service and markets. So these are the special characteristics of smart grid. What is adaptive and self-healing? Self-healing is one of the best, what I said, best character for the smart grid. So self-healing. So smart grid being a self-healing means it has the capability of automatically repair and remove potentially faulty equipment is not after the fault, before it's failed. That is a very important one. From here, the predictive maintenance is play a very major role. It will predictive maintenance is nothing but it will go into analyze the system performance. So example, a simple example I will give you. So if normally we are, whenever we are using our four-wheeler, some four-wheeler manufacturers they said every 10,000 once we need to change the oil. Some manufacturers said 5,000 every 5,000 kilometers we need to change the oil. Okay, this is the general instruction given by the manufacturers. Example, your vehicle is 10,000 kilometer once we need to change the oil means what we will do. So we are going to check the oil whether it's the quantity is less, if it is less, otherwise the quality of the oil is not good. At the time we are going to change the oil. So we need to check every time. So after the 5,000 or 7,000 kilometers we need to check. So otherwise we have the dashboard, the indicators are there. That indicators it will show you the signal. So whether your oil level is less, so we need to change the oil. Okay, so this is will happen in normally whenever you are going to use in the predictive maintenance. So it will go into the sense as the predictive maintenance where it's based on the full multi-agent systems that will sense the oil quantity as well as the quality also. So whether your oil quality is not good, it's not wait for up to the 10,000 kilometers. It will let you know before the 10,000 kilometers your oil quality and quantity is less. We need to change the oil. Then only we have to increase the performance of the systems, and we have to avoid the some breakdowns, some mechanical breakdowns. So it will set the before it's failed. That is a very important one. That's why they say it's automatically repair and remove the potentially faulty equipment from the service before it fails. So example, in your electrical engineering field, so any transmission system or is there we have the circuit breakers. So how we can effectively operate our circuit breakers using this self-healing manner, otherwise our predictive maintenance. So any equipment will failure within 10 days, it will let you know the equipment need the maintenance. At the same times, it will before the fails, it will repair, otherwise remove the potentially faulty equipment from the service before it's failed. There is after that it will reconfiguration. It's automatically once it's a open circuit. So how it will power flow from one place to another place. So that is the reason this is a smart grid is a totally interconnected all the networks. So it will reconfigure the system in such a way to ensure the continuity of the energy to all the consumers. This is the self-healing and adaptive nature in smart grid. The flexibility. So the flexibility already I said, the flexibility of the distributed generation and energy storage, we have to integrate the power grid at any point on the system at any time is possible whenever you are going to use the smart grid. But normally in our conventional grid is not possible. So they will let you know this is the place, this is the time you can to integrate the renewable energy source to the power grid, because we need to maintain the stability. Just a minute. Okay, the next one, that's the predictive maintenance. So the what is the predictive maintenance we already discussed much more the previous slides. The predictive maintenance, from here we are using machine learning and deep learning algorithms, whether they impact the projection and strict analysis to provide the prediction for the next most likely events, so that the appropriate action can be taken, reconfigure the systems before the next worst event can be happen. So this is very helpful for in present situations. The predictive maintenance is one of the most research area, even electrical engineering and smart grid. So we have the EV vehicles, electrical engineering in most of the industries. We have to what I said, we are going to adapt the predictive maintenance technologies nowadays. So integrator. So already I let you know the integrator means all the sources are interconnected, all the source and consumers, so all are interconnected. It's a real-time communication and control the functions in between utility and consumers. Interactive, that's one is possible to interact with each other. So that is the reason is a very popular the smart grid. The optimization. So optimization is one of the main advantage of the smart grid. So there is a autonomous optimization. So this have why we need to go the autonomous optimization techniques. So this is achieved by knowing the status of every major component in real or near real time, and having control equipment to provide the optional routing path that provide the capability of autonomous optimization to flow of electricity through the system with the aim of maximizing reliability, availability, efficiency and economic performance. So this one also we are going to use the AI technologies. So optimization technologies, we know the PSO, DPSO, then a few other optimization techniques, the genetic algorithms we are using for that. And secure. Why we need to security? The cyber security is one of the essential part for the smart grid system. Just imagine in the global network all are interconnected. So all the power generation, all the consumers are interconnected. If anyone hack your network, so hack and shut down your network is a it's a totally blackout and brownouts out there. So we need to avoid that type of issues. That's why it's extremely important to ensure the smart grid is secure from attack and the natural occurring disturbance. So this is the very important one, this security of the smart grid. So this is the under research happening, the cyber security. So most of the software engineers working for cyber security of smart grid technologies. This is the few international standards. It's IEC 61850. and its application to the smart grid. So it will give some overview how we are going to use the basic equipments and what is the ratings. So everything is given from here. We need to follow the instructions given by the international standards. So like that in IEEE they are given IEEE 1547, another one is IEEE 519. They are going to give the guidelines for the grid integration of renewable energy systems and power quality related standards they are given. The very important one is the National Smart Grid Mission. This is under the Ministry of Power, Government of India. What is the vision for our India? Transform the Indian power sector into a secure, adaptive, sustainable and digital enabled ecosystem that provides reliable and quality energy for all with active participation of the stakeholders. This is the vision for India under NSGM. What is the mission statement? Enable on demand access the availability, affordable, reliable, quality of power for all with optimal mix of conventional and renewable energy sources. This is the mix of conventional and renewable energy sources. It's not a purely conventional, it's not a purely renewable energy sources. They are going to optimal mix. They are going to hybrid conventional and non-conventional renewable energies, non-conventional sources for to give the reliable quality of the power to the consumers. This is the mission statement. So we have some pilot projects already done by in India under Ministry of Power. The smart grid pilot projects in Ajmer, Assam, Mysore, Himachal Pradesh, Puducherry, Tripura, Telangana, Haryana, Gujarat, West Bengal, in IIT Kanpur campus and Manisar. So these are the some of the already done the smart grid pilot projects in India. Then under NSGM, so we have some 5 subdivisions in Chandigarh and complete city excluding subdivision of 5 under ACD Chandigarh. Then Jharkhand, Odisha and Rajasthan. These are the under NSGM projects, smart grid projects. So these data are available our MNRE and Ministry of Power website. If you want more details, just so you can go through that. They are give us complete details. Okay, now I come to the distribution power generation. So we know the distributed power generation is a renewable energy sources, so solar, wind, hydro, fuel cells, tidal energy, and bioenergy. So from here, the hydro and tidal energy is not a distributed generation source. Is based on the availability of the resource. Then only we have to utilize the resources. But other solar, wind, fuel cell and bioenergies, we have to use the distributed power generation. So what is the distributed power generation? So normally the conventional power generation source, it will located out of the city and it will generate the maximum amount of power generation in single place in terms of 1000 megawatt or 2000 megawatt, the power generation in single place, and its power is transmitted to that substations, then it will distribute to the consumers. So it will take the lengthy process. But distributed power generation is nothing but please unmute. Yeah, thank you. The distributed power generation is nothing but we are going to use we are going to generate the electricity based on our demand nearby the consumer. So example, we have solar, wind, we have to install the rooftop and generate the electricity for our needs. If it is excess the power, we are going to feed to the power grid. So this is possible. That's why is a distributed power generation source is a more popular nowadays. So the mode of operations: standalone, battery charging mode, and grid connected mode. So we know the standalone mode. Standalone mode means whatever we are generate the electricity, we are going to utilize only for our home appliance. It's not connected to the grid. So grid connected means, so it's a parallelly we are going to connect it to the grid, as well as we are going to use the power for our home appliance, our own use. So this is the grid integration. So what is the battery charging mode? So the battery charging mode is a very popular nowadays because the EV is a play the vital role in your transportation. So in future in 2030 or 2035, 70% of vehicles are converted into EV. So just to think about the charging stations for the EV. So they are going to convert all the fuel stations into the EV charging stations. Otherwise, nearby the every 1 kilometer, I think so, they are planned for the installed the EV station in national highways. So from there is possible to the new entrepreneurship. So startup is possible for the battery charging stations. So using our renewable energy sources only for battery charging mode. It's only connected to the battery and charging. So this is another important part for the mode of operations. So we have some hybrid renewable energy systems. So some of the possibilities: PV wind, PV fuel cells, PV wind fuel cell with battery, and other sources is some of the major hybrid systems. So okay, now I come to the topologies of renewable energy systems, hybrid renewable energy systems. So this is a very old method. So whenever we are going to use uh, different power generations like photo PV systems and fuel cell or wind energy systems, they are using separately for DC to DC converters, DC to AC inverters, and finally it's connected to the DC bus. Then DC bus is connected to the transformer connected to the AC bus. So this is happening in the previous days. So what is the problem we are facing here? The quality of the power generation, because from here we are using number of power electronic switches, the power electronic devices like DC to DC converter, DC to AC inverters, and transformers are is there. So what happened? The power quality is reduced. The THD level is increased beyond the standard level. So what happened? They are going to plan to reduce the usage of the power electronics. Then they are going to convert into without transformer, they are going to feed the electricity into the power grid. From here, the instead of two inverters, they are connected one common inverter for the renewable energy systems. So from here also, our engineers and researchers not satisfied. Again, they are going to redesign it from the common DC to DC converters and DC to AC inverters. So from here also, we are not satisfied that much level, because the converters and inverters, the switches is a number of switches, and it will that means the voltage stresses dv by dt stresses are more. So what happened? We are moved to multi-level inverters for the renewable energy systems. So why need for multi-level inverter? What is the need? So in theoretically, the multi-level inverter has to the design higher voltage level to regulate and improve the conversion efficiency and reduce the harmonic content and the electromagnetic interference. So this is the advantage. So why we need to move to normal inverter to multi-level inverters. The power quality improvement is one of the main advantage of the multi-level inverter in the renewable energy sector. So from here, so we have the different type of multi-level inverters are there. So how to select the multi-level inverter for our renewable energy sources? So basically there are two type of multi-level inverters. One is isolated DC source, another one is common DC source. So isolated DC source, we are using the cascaded H-bridge multi-level inverters, and common DC source, we have used a diode clamped multi-level inverter and flying capacitors. So is based on my recommendation, my research experience, the cascade multi-level inverters is more helpful for our renewable energy systems, because our DC source is not single. Not we are don't use only single DC source, because the distributed power generation. So it has the different DC sources. It's a different isolated DC sources are there. It has the different ratings. So the other two multi-level inverters are not that much capable for asynchronous input voltage source, but cascade multi-level inverters, it has the capability, it has the power to provide feed to the asynchronous input voltage source to the cascade multi-level inverters. So that is the one of the advantage for the cascade multi-level inverter. At the same time, the diode clamped and flying capacitor multi-level inverters, we are using the capacitor to develop the several voltage level. So there is a very difficult to regulate the voltage of these capacitors. Therefore, this type of the multi-level inverter not suitable for the renewable energy sectors. So if it is common DC means it's not an issue. If it is isolated DC sources, is recommended by the cascade multi-level inverters to permit the more voltage level of the output. So that is the reason this is the multi-level inverters, the conventional multi-level inverters. So conventional multi-level inverters, this is the pair, the 4 switches are there. The each voltage source, we have the 4 switches. From here also we are facing the problem, because if you want to actually the cascade multi-level inverter, the output level is considered as a 2s plus 1, is a s is the number of source. So if you use example from here, 3 sources are there, is a 2s plus 1, is a 3 into 2 plus 1 is a 7 level is coming. So from here we have to check, is a 12 switches are there. So if you want 13 level or 15 level, the number of switches is increased. So again we are facing the same issue of the THD. So what we are going to do, we are going to reduce the number of switches, is a switch reduction technologies. This is I published in 2015 in Journal of Fuel Cells. This is my reduction switches. From here we are only use only 1 switches instead of the 4 switches. So like that we are designed for the 13 level inverters. This is the MATLAB Simulink model. From here the multi-level inverter. So why we are going to use the multi-level inverter? So example, that cascade multi-level inverter, we have to feed the different renewable energy sources as a input. So PV system, wind energy, fuel cell, we have to select the battery also with the use of the bidirectional converter. Then it's feed to the AC load or AC bus. How it will going to convert the multi-level inverter? That is another task, because the multi-level inverter means there are number of switches are there. So we need to generate the triggering pulses or switching pulses for our switches. So that is another important task. How we are going to synchronize, how to maintain the synchronization, how to control real and reactive power flow from source to grid. So these are the another important challenges we will discuss in upcoming slides. This is the voltage waveforms, some of the comparative studies, the number of switches. So some of the proposed grid integrated renewable energy systems. Okay, better I will explain here. From here the same the PV systems, the wind energy and fuel cell. This is a hybrid PV wind fuel cell systems. From here the MPPT controller is a wind energy means we have rectifiers, and fuel cell directly we are using the DC to DC converters. So the MPPT actually the MPPT controller, it will come this side. So if PV is directly feed to the DC to DC converter. Then DC to DC converter, the input voltage and current we are going to provide to the MPPT controller. Then MPPT controller to generate the maximum power from the PV generation source. Then it's going to the DC bus. From here we are going to use of the proposed controller. Then it's connected to the power grid. So this is how we are going to control. From here I will let you know that. So from here the what is the major controller is the voltage source converter controller. From here the voltage source converter controller, we have the phase lock loop, current regulator, voltage regulator. Then based on that input, it will going to generate the PWM pulses to the inverter. So from here, so what is the very important one? From this bus is the PCC bus. This is the load. From this PCC bus, we are going to take the input of the VABC 3-phase voltage and 3-phase current. Then it goes to the PLL loop. So which is helpful for the phase lock loop, the frequency lock. Then only we have to synchronize. We know the synchronization is a process. We need to maintain the voltage, the same voltage level, same frequency, and same phase sequence. These are the some of the important tasks. So that's why we are using the controller as a phase lock loop. From the voltage regulator, it will regulate the voltage. Then current regulator. So the current regulator here they play the major role, because from here only we are going to control real and reactive power flow of the system from source to grid. Do you know that? So from here, some of the fuzzy, actually I am here using the fuzzy logic controller. From here we are going to direct axis current and quarter axis current. So whenever we are going to control the direct axis current and quarter axis current, based on that we have to control the real and reactive power. So whenever the direct axis current is positive, at the time the systems inject the real power to the grid. So whenever the quarter axis current is positive, the system will absorb the reactive power from the grid. So this is the happening whenever you are going to control the real and reactive power. Some of the output voltage and current, the THD values. Once if you use the ANFIS controller, compared to the fuzzy logic, the ANFIS adaptive neurofuzzy controller is performing somewhat well. So some of the benefits of the present design, from here the minimum number of power electronic switches for the same level, less space requirement because the number of switches is less, low harmonic, improved power quality due to the low harmonic, easier control, lesser cost of the proposed system for the design is a 40% less as compared with the existing systems. Okay, now I come to the point. The challenges of grid integration of renewable energy sources. So what are the challenges are there? So whenever you are going to integrate the power renewable energy systems to our power grid, the first one is grid stability. So grid stability is one of the major concern. So whenever you are going to integrate the power grid, is normally if it is smart grid is not a issue, but our conventional power grid, whenever you are going to integrate the renewable energy systems, the grid stability is one of the major concerns. So we need to maintain the stability of the grid. So we need to get proper permission. So proper controller, proper inverters. At the same time, they are going to check quality of the power and power factors. Everything they are checked. Then only they are going to allow to integrate the grid, because we need maintain the stability and reliability of the source. Our renewable energy sources is not reliable 24/7 because it's based on, it is full and full is depending upon the natural resources like solar and wind energy systems and other hydro energy sources. Voltage regulation from the static and transient stages. Power quality, power factor improvement. Energy management system is one of the most important point for the grid integration of renewable energy systems. How we are going to effectively utilize the energy sources from various renewable energy sources, as well as how we are going to manage the power demand, whether it is less power demand, what we will do, how it is more than power demand is more compared to our generation, how we are going to manage the power demand. So the energy management is one of the backbone of the system. Unbalanced power flow issues, optimize the size and power generation, energy storage devices, islanding issues. We know our renewable energy sources is not a reliable, it's a reliable source. So what happens is automatically, if it is not reached that a level of the voltage and frequency, automatically it will lose the synchronization. So that's why islanding issues are there. So we need to identify the islanding issues, we need to avoid the islanding issues. Integration issues, protection issues. The MPPT method for renewable energy systems, because MPPT method is one of the major part for the renewable energy source, because we need to generate the maximum power from the renewable energy source under various weather conditions. Optimized fuel flow control, harmonics due to power electronic and other sources. The filter design to reduce the harmonics, minimize the power distribution losses, economic and environmental issues, different topologies for grid integration and standalone applications, the power electronic selection of power electronic devices. So presently we have SiC MOSFETs. It will work in high frequency switching frequencies So more than 20 kilohertz. Design of controllers. So from here, this is the heart of the system. So we need to design the proper intelligence controller. The international standard for renewable energy sources is the very important one. So whatever you are doing, the research work, finally we need to standard the international standard, then only your model will be considered. Okay, these are now we'll discuss something some related to the energy management, some of the major issues. The energy management system. Shall I take up to 11:45? Ma'am, anybody is there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then
So
after
12 o'clock the session is this. No worries.
okay, the discussion after 12 is it
Otherwise,
possible?
we can have up to 11:45 and 15 minutes we can have discussions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the energy management system. So from here we have to see the scale. So how the supply and demand, we need to manage both. So whenever the demand is increased, so at the same time we need to support the demand. So how we are going to support? So this is the energy management system. From here we are going to use the AI technologies. How to utilize the different energy sources is based on our energy demand. Whether if the energy demand is less, if you generate the excess power, so the excess power should be stored in somewhere. So at the time the storage system, the electrical energy storage systems is one of the important part. So we need to concentrate the energy storage device, how to operate the energy storage device from the SOC and SOD, and instead of there is a SOH, the health of the system. There is a SOS, the state of health of the energy storage device. So everything we need to take the consideration. Then we need to operate effectively. There is a normally we our electrical people already studied about the utilization how we are going to optimum utilization techniques and unit commitment, how we are going to commit the unit based on our the demand. If it is demand is less, so we are going to operate only few units. If it is demand is more, we are going to operate all the units. It's based on the demand. So like that, how we are going to operate our system under the based on the demand of the consumers. So the energy management system also one of the major research area. If anybody wants to interest to do the research work in electrical engineering, please concentrate the energy management systems. Optimize power generation are the same whatever I discussed in earlier. The energy storage devices, we have the different type of energy storage devices. So short-term storage device and long-term storage devices. So like short-term storage devices, we are using flywheels, SMES, supercapacitors, and long-term storage devices, we are using flow batteries, fuel cells, batteries lead acid and advanced BES systems, CAES and bumper storage systems. And CES is nothing but compressed air energy storage devices. So these are the storage devices presently we are using for in our battery management systems as well as the energy management systems. The MPPT method for the renewable energy system. So from the MPPT method, we know the MPPT maximum power point tracking is one of the essential part for the renewable energy system, because already we know the renewable energy system is a full and full depending upon our natural resources, whether it is a wind or solar. So whether the solar energy we know is a morning only is available, hardly available 6 to 7 hours. So morning 7 to evening 4. So it is the variation of the solar radiation and the temperature is varied based on the time. So we need to generate the maximum power is based on the availability of the sunlight. So from here the MPPT is play the major role to generate the maximum power from our PV system. From here normally we are using the MPPT controller. It will going to feed the PV voltage and PV current to the input of the MPPT controller. Then after that, so we have the MPPT algorithm. The based on the PV voltage and PV current, it will generate the duty cycle of the MOSFET. This is the boost converter. If it is buck boost, based on that, it will generate the duty cycle of the PWM for our MOSFET switches. So from here we know the conventional and intelligence controller. The conventional controllers we know PNO algorithm, incremental conductions, then feedback voltage and feedback current methods. So these are the conventional methods. But intelligence method is we know fuzzy, neurofuzzy, ANN, ANCOLONY, genetic algorithm, PSO, KGMO, deep learning, machine learning, Firefly algorithm, and few swarm intelligence. So there are plenty of intelligence algorithms are there. If you want to review, most of the review papers are available in IEEE. Just to go through it, there are plenty of MPPT controllers are there. So whenever you are going to do the research in MPPT controller, definitely you will have some, it will confusing because that much controllers already is available. So if you want to create the new intelligence, definitely we want to hybrid the intelligence sources. Example, if you want to hybrid PSO fuzzy, PSO fuzzy also is available now. The machine learning with fuzzy, otherwise deep learning with other PSO algorithms. So there are plenty of things are there. So we need to concentrate the MPPT control of the renewable energy systems. So from here we are using the deep learning MPPT controller. From here I am using only a five layer systems. It's a small simple design. The training of the systems, some performance and validations. So based on that, we are using the MATLAB simulation model. Then the power generation is a simple design, is a 200 watts panel I am selected here, but we have to move for higher ratings. But for example, I given here 200 watts panel. From the panel, normally the PV power before the converters, some watt disturbance, and but it will going to settle whenever you are using the deep learning algorithm. So we have the smooth transaction in the PV system. Is under variable irradiation and the temperatures. The duty cycle, how it will change the duty cycles based on the irradiation and temperature. Okay, the next one is the harmonics. So harmonics is one of the biggest headache for our electrical engineers. So how to avoid the harmonics? So we are always fighting against the harmonics because the harmonics we enable to eliminate another one more problem from the harmonics. So example, see here, this is the pure sine wave. Whenever present the harmonics in your sine wave, the finally this is the resultant waveform. So what happened, this unequal the waveform is a non-sinusoidal waveform. If you feed to your consumer equipments, the lifetime will be less. So sometimes it's possible to damage the system. Okay, that is the reason we need to avoid the harmonics. So that is why the engineers are concentrate more how to reduce the harmonics, then how to filter the harmonics and all. So we are, the source of the harmonics. So all type of converters, devices which include semiconductor elements, generators, motor, transformer, lightning equipments which is work under gas discharge principle, computers, electronic set, uninterrupted power supply, UPS, switching power supply, HVDC transmission system, electrical communication systems. So these are the major sources to generate the harmonics. Just to think, most of the things is covered for the source of the harmonics. So we need to try to avoid the harmonics. So that is the why we are going to design the filters. Is a LCL filter, LCC filters. There are different type of filter designs are available. There is a major area for analyze the harmonics filters. The minimization of power distribution losses. So how we are going to minimize the power distribution losses? So yesterday is a centralized power. It's a conventional power source. Already I said the power stations are in, is there away from the city or away from the our consumers, then it will generate the electricity and its feed to the power is transmit to our substation. Then substation is distribute the power to the consumers. It's a lengthy process. So from there is some definitely the power losses will be there for the due to the transmission. So whenever we are going to use the distributed generation source is nearby the consumers. So the power distribution losses is very less compared to our centralized power stations. And power converters, I think we already know very well about inverters and converters. I'm not from here the different topologies are there. Now presently we are using normal converters, inverters. Now most of the research, if you go through most of the research papers, they have the new topologies for inverters and converters for renewable energy systems and electrical vehicle applications also. Design of controllers. So these are the some of the controllers presently we are using for our renewable energy systems. Deep learning, machine learning, fuzzy, ANN, ANFIS, PSO, genetic algorithm, and colony, Firefly, and hybrid intelligence. It's the most popular now hybrid intelligence because example fuzzy, it has some advantages and some disadvantages. We need to overcome the disadvantages. We are going to hybrid some other intelligence. That's why the ANFIS is the most popular compared to the fuzzy. Then PSO, after that the PSO is hybrid with the fuzzy controller. Genetic algorithm also hybrid with the fuzzy controller. Firefly with the fuzzy controller. That is why the hybrid intelligence is most popular compared to the normal intelligence, because whenever you are going to hybrid intelligence, we are going to take only for the features, the best feature of the controllers. Then we are going to hybrid the best features. Definitely we get the better result. Some few simulation models. So this is we already done the deep neural network for hybrid PV wind energy system to the power to our power grid. This is the simulation model. So we already discussed the voltage source converter. So from here, that's why I said the ID positive, the converter generate the active power. IQ is positive, the converter absorb the reactive power. So this is the real and reactive power control happen from here. So energy management system, how we are going to manage the energy. Some example from here that there is a 3 loads are there. So I'm going to consider example in your example, these loads are in hospital. So the priority 1, priority 2 and priority 3. So priority 1 I given the ICU ward and priority 2 is some emergency ward and priority 3 for the normal general ward. So from here based on the power supply, so we are going to operate the loads. So example, I'll give you the result from here. So example from priority load, high priority load always switch on. The condition is 1 means switch on, 0 means switch off. So the priority load is always switch on because it's ICUR. Then from here the priority load is a medium. So whenever the PV hybrid PV wind energy is reach somewhat the level, at the time is automatically switch on. Then priority low. So whenever we have the more power generation from the PV system, that time we are going to provide the electricity for the general ward. So when this is whenever the grid is failure. Okay, so this is the thing we are designed for AI for energy management system. The future war, people can concentrate the hybrid artificial intelligence controller for renewable energy systems. To develop high voltage based cascade H-bridge multi-level inverter for renewable energy systems, to develop various inverter topologies for hybrid renewable energy systems and smart grid applications. So this is the already I discussed IEEE 1547 and 519 standards for interconnected distributed resources with electrical power systems. They provide all the informations. Best if you willing to do any research work, first to go through the IEEE standard 1547 and 519, then you can start the research work in renewable energy systems. Then if you want to do any research work in smart grid, IEEE 2030 is a smart grid standard From there, they are given all the informations. Just to go through the website, is available the information. Just if you want to do any research work in smart grid, under smart grid, just to follow the standards. So why I recommended to follow the standard means, if you want to publish any research work, your data should be under standard condition. Then only they are accepted. Example, you are going to design the single phase. Single phase, you say 150 volt, 65 hertz means none of them accepted your research work. So we need to follow the single phase in India means we need to follow the 230 volt 50 hertz. Then only they are accepted your research work. That's why I said we need to follow the standards, international standards. This is the IEC technical committees. The standards are given for wind energy, solar, and solar thermal electrical plants are available. So this is the present condition for our Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Sources. So we are the 5th place in the global position overall installed energy, renewable energy system in our system. I'm going to conclude my section. So the summary of my presentation is overview of AI and smart grid, NSGM, distributed renewable energy systems, few topologies of hybrid renewable energy systems, simulation model, challenges of grid integration of renewable energy systems. Finally, discuss about international standards for renewable energy systems. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Participant, you can unmute and ask your question or doubt from the resource person.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I am Baladari Katan.
So voice is disturbed.
Sir, you told EV system. Hello, can you hear my voice, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, you told that hybriding PV system with the fuel system. So nowadays, fuel cell cost is very high. So
Yes.
how you can choose fuel cell before integrating PV system?
Sir, in research work, the cost is not a concern. So actually, fuel cell systems we have to generate 24/7. Is a fuel cell cost is more only for in India. In other, because we don't have any manufacturing unit in India. But in other countries, in Germany, some other places, they have own fuel cell generation vehicle also is there. Now in India, now only we are slowly we are moved from the electrical vehicle. In few years back, the fuel cell vehicles are available in abroad. This is not an issue, but fuel cell we will generate the electricity 24/7. Is the quality of the power is better compared to our renewable energy system. So we have to select the PV fuel cell is not a issue. For we are going to do the only the research. So only research, under the research only the cost is more. So after the come to the market, only we example 10 years back the fuel PV cell cost is more. Now it slowly is come down. So now it's very cheap compared to other source. So like that, it's only the under research area, under progress now. So in future, definitely the fuel cell cost also is come down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other queries or questions? Reenu ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, sir. I had some net issue because of which I reconnected now. 10 minutes I could not be in the session. But anyhow, I understand that you have completed the session.
Yes, ma'am. I completed.
Just only one query I have, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, neural network is actually being used nowadays. See, just as an advancement of neural network, machine learning and deep learning concepts have come across. So in
Yes,
that
yes.
aspect, whether neural network is still widely used and whether it is advantageous in some applications compared to machine learning and deep learning, can you just throw some light on this particular aspect, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the neural network is the one of the fundamental of the machine learning and deep learning. It's actually the same. Whenever you move to the deep learning algorithms, it purely deals with the neural networks. So from the normally the neural networks we are using for an normally the one hidden layer or two hidden layer. We are using the backpropagation algorithm, supervising unsupervised learning algorithms are there. The same thing we are going to apply whenever you go to the deep learning algorithms. The hidden layer, the size will be increased from 10 hidden layer to 100 hidden layers. So in between we are using. So the same application, the same network, the same principles, whatever we are using, the feed-forward network, and so nowadays some of the popular networks, the NIRX network, CNN network, is full and full is the background is the ANN only. Then that is why the ANN is very popular nowadays. Some application wise means the deep learning and machine learning, or they said machine learning, where if you use the ANN controller, that is called, sometimes we can say this is a machine learning. So number of layers is less compared to the deep learning. We have the same network, the ANN network used in machine learning. That is not an issue, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Actually, to my understanding, I feel that for classification problem, machine learning will be a suitable tool, whereas for prediction-based problems, neural network will be a suitable tool. Is this
Actually, ma'am,
observation correct, sir?
actually, the neural networks, we have the supervised and unsupervised learnings are there. So the based on the supervised unsupervised learning only, we are going to different applications. Somewhat is the regression, somewhat optimization, somewhat the classifications, the clustering is under the applications of the ANN. So if the same thing, most of them, the machine learning also, if you want to provide the training through the machine using the ANN network, there is a machine learning. We have to use that for the classification, whether example the classification of the vehicle, otherwise classification of some image processing. So it's possible using ANN or the same thing we are applied only the machine learning. So from that machine learning, we are going to provide the training at the same process. But the application is based on only for the learning process, the supervised learning or unsupervised learning process. Another one is the reinforcement learning also is there. It's a purely is based on the learning process.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Any other queries from any other participants? Okay, sir. I think no questions from any participants. So, on behalf of EEE department, I take immense pleasure to thank you, sir, for your wonderful session, for giving the details about starting from history of the artificial intelligence, the various blooming technologies under the umbrella of artificial intelligence. You have given a detailed picture of all the technologies along their applications, and also highlighted on the smart grid and the hybrid renewable energy system, how the AI techniques can be applied, what is the most challenging problems we have where we can take up the research work. So you have given a detailed note on all these aspects. So hoping to get connected with you in future also, sir, for many such sessions, and keep supporting our college and our research students, scholars, as well as the PG students. We need your help, and your expertise will help us a lot, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful time spent for us, for all the participants.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Madam, the feedback link is not working.
Organization, kindly check whether the feedback link is working. And
Ma'am, feedback will be working for official
kindly check.
account, ma'am. We will work on that, ma'am. Within 2 minutes, we will post again.
Okay. You can even post it in the WhatsApp group, organization. You can send it to Mariavan, sir, so that he will post the feedback link in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
So Reenu can conclude the session and give the necessary instructions to the participants. So participants, the feedback link will be posted in the WhatsApp group. And also the next session will start at 1:30 p.m. We have a resource person from IIT Kharagpur, Mr. Sudhagar, who is the visiting faculty there. So please do attend the session. He will be giving hands-on training also. Do not miss his session. So kindly complete your lunch and come back at 1:30 p.m. in the same.
Okay, madam.
Dear participant, please wait for a minute. We solve the issue. Within 1 or 2 minutes, we will post feedback form here and WhatsApp group also. So please stay connected. Dear participant, the link issue solved. Feedback link posted in chat box. Please give your feedback.